All right, we're up here at the Bahia Grande Resort Hotel. This is one of the older resort hotels on the island. One of the reasons I chose this place is the beach is very, very narrow here. You can look at the dune line and you really don't have 50 feet of beach left anymore. Uh, from the dune line to the shoreline, very, very narrow. Now, I do remember in 1975 coming up here, there was a seawall. It's about 100 feet offshore, which was built to prevent beach erosion. And obviously we can see that's not happening. And one of the culprits is down there. It's the jetties. The jetties trap sediment from which is brought on by the longshore current, and that helps for the southern end of the island. But up here, there's no longer any sediment being redeposited. Now, let's go back in time a little bit. This is a barrier island. These are very temporary geological features. Now, what's happened here is you have what is called a shoreline of submergence. Quite simply, the last ice age ended about 18,000 years ago, and as the ice melted, the water went into the oceans and sea level rose. During the height of the ice age, the sea level was approximately 300 to 450 feet lower than it is today. About 5,000 years ago, South Padre Island, the modern shoreline was more or less attained, and South Padre Island began to form. So as a geologic feature, this is very, very recent. Now, what's going on here is you have an ocean current paralleling the coast. That's called longshore drift. You have the Rio Grande about 5 miles south. That's the source of the sediment. The longshore drift brings the sediment from south to north. Then the wave action redistributes that sediment to deposit this barrier island. Now, what's been happening recently is you have this very complex series of factors. Number one, I guess, the most important, the sea level is rising about 12 inches a century, and it may have increased in recent years. That's one factor, the rise in sea level. The second factor is the Rio Grande itself. There's most of the water and the resulting sediment of the Rio Grande is taken out by irrigation canals. So the mouth of the river really no longer is the mouth of the river. It's a saltwater estuary, which is no longer bringing sediment into the Gulf of Mexico. So in simple terms, this is point number two, you no longer have a new source of sediment. And a lot of what you see out here right now, I don't know if it got this far north, but about a quarter of a mile south of here, most of that sand has been pumped in recently. In the past 5 years, they've done dredging at the bottom of the ship channel, and then that sediment at the bottom of the ship channel has been brought northward in large tubes to be redeposited to save the beach from erosion. Now, I do know, we'll get down to it a little later, a little bar called Wanawanas. I've seen the pipes out there. I personally don't know if they got this far north, but from the jetties northward to Wanawanas, they've done it twice that I can remember. Large tubes pumping in sediment from the bottom of the ship channel and to rebuild the island. Okay, so just to review, post-glacial rise in sea level, it may be exacerbated by global warming and increasing. Number two, precious little sediment. And number three, look at the hotel. It's built on a dune. The dunes, and here's a dune up here with a little bit of vegetation. The dunes stabilize the island. Building on dunes, vegetation's gone, and then the sea breeze and the winds just blow the sand towards into the Laguna Madre. And so the third factor is human activity is affecting the stabilization of the island. In some places you have 6 feet a year of beach erosion. And in geologic terms, South Padre Island is moving towards Port Isabel. And in the long-term future, we're talking 100 years, 200 years down the line, is that the shoreline is going to be where we're standing now. And when we go down to, if we go down to Wanawanas Beach Bar, you'll actually see some, during times of particularly high tide and storms, the water line actually comes right here. It comes up, it'll come up to the dune line.